We are back for part 2 of how many years your character in Need for Speed Unbound would logically get in jail. I mean, actually, let's be real, it would 100% be prison, considering that we are multi-time offenders committing some of the most heinous crimes out there. Before we dive back into how much time we would serve for the rest of the crimes we committed across the Unbound universe, I want to break down a few things. I got a few comments on the last video saying that the character would not be charged on every count for every crime they committed. That is not true. It is entirely possible that you can be charged separately for each distinct crime. Now, there are times where multiple murders and things like that can be classified under a single legal category like mass murder or serial murder, but legally, every single life that is taken is still counted separately when determining charges and sentencing. So yeah, the 7,000 plus years is legitimate, I promise. The second thing is the reason why I have given the character the max sentence on every crime is due to the severity for each crime. If you are going 200 miles per hour through a construction zone and hit a cop, you have went way over the speed limit, you're reckless driving, you killed an LEO, which is a law enforcement officer, and sped through a protected area. You are not getting the smallest sentence, I promise. Plus, y'all also have to keep in mind that the character is doing these things and technically has not been caught. So that's another factor that will contribute towards the maximum sentence. They keep doing the same things over and over again. Remember that Lakeshore is based off of the real life city of Chicago, which is in Illinois. So all laws and crimes will be based on the Illinois state laws and punishments. Anyway, hope you all enjoy part 2 and let's get into it. If we are starting a clean slate and pretending like we don't already have 7,000 years on record, then the first charge would be vehicle theft. Where is vehicle theft? Hop into the lockdown game mode and you will see right in front of your face. Every single one of those vehicles that does not belong to your character personally, and this is backed up fully by the fact that you can't even keep the car you extract with if it is one of the ones found on the side of the road. On top of that, the entire action of taking a car found alongside any street or road in the lockdown game mode is labeled as jacking the ride, aka carjacking, aka against the law. And this is just with cars parked anywhere on the map. Don't even get me started on the cars where there are actual players in them, because now it has just turned from carjacking to endangerment as well. If you are not aware, in lockdown you can take other players' cars, but their car has to be broken down beyond repair and not moving. How do you get their car that way? By beating on it relentlessly until their health bar is gone.
See what this asshole feel? That's it, wreck your car.
I've opened up a gate on the lockup. Ride through on a bike and thank me later. This is way too tame. Your rivals are getting more attention than you.
It is safe to say that the other player, now labeled as a victim, is injured and you have stolen their car from them. This is classified as aggravated carjacking, and it ranges from 6 years to 30 years in prison for each count. Luckily, there are no visual signs of firearms or weapon usage, so we can't be charged with that. I personally have done lockdown way more than 100 times, trying to get all the blacklist cars, of course, which is another crime in itself, but for simplicity, we'll call it 100 even. For every single one of those 100 times, I know for a fact I have stolen a vehicle, or at least swapped my current one for a random one on the street to get my health back from either the lockdown zone or the cops. 100 counts of aggravated carjacking with a sentence of 30 years for each count, and we are looking at 3,000 years off rip. First charge. Now, if we were to add to it what is already on the books, we would be looking at 10,000 years for the first crime in this video alone. But for more dramatic purposes, let's add these charges up separately and then we'll add them all together from part 1 and part 2 at the end. Next is breaking and entering, which is classified as the offender breaks into a building or residence with the intent to commit theft or another felony. It is usually classified as a class 2 felony. I think the lockups are classified as small buildings and or structures. This holds a max sentence of 7 years, but the big one is aggravated burglary, which has a max of 15 years. The reason why we aren't going with that is because there isn't anyone being seriously injured, besides maybe you, when breaking into the lockups. But hence what I said, breaking into the lockups, which are police property, meaning it does not belong to you. This is breaking and entering and can be stacked on top of the carjacking charge. I have all the blacklist cars, including a duplicate or a few of them, and also every possible car you can collect out of a lockup, totaling to 52, meaning that I have went inside a lockup at the very least 52 provable times to get those cars. Each count is 7 years, so 52 times 7 equals 364 years behind bars for the simple act of collecting blacklist cars. 3,364 years for collecting cars. I really don't think it's worth it at all. The third charge would be destruction of property. So for all of y'all that like to hit parked cars, drive through lawns, fences, hit trash cans, mailboxes, and everything else when leaving the garage or in a race, yeah, this is for you. It would 100% be under aggravated criminal damage with a sentence of yet again 7 years. Based off the Need for Speed wiki, there are 111 races in the game. And with some simple math and a little bit of honesty of how bad I can race sometimes, I can confidently say I have hit at least one thing on every track in the game. So at the very minimum, we have 777 years for all counts of destruction of property. Now, for those who play the game even more than I have, or y'all who for some reason cannot drive straight to save your life, you are probably looking at double or triple those numbers. So your character might want to say their final goodbyes because they will be spending more than 100 life sentences behind bars. After doing a little bit of research with aggravated criminal damage to property and the charges that follow, you can actually get yet another charge classified as a class 2 felony for causing bodily harm to a person. But we won't take it there, at least not this time. Now we are moving on to the fourth charge, which would be aiding and abetting in street racing, aka what the entire game is known for. Y'all had to know this charge was coming. I mean, let's be real here. That's what Need for Speed is all about, right? Now, normally a charge like street racing is generally classified as a Class A misdemeanor. If someone aids, abets, or encourages others to participate in street racing, they can be charged, of course. But here is the thing. The type of street racing we do involves reckless driving and causing injuries and or damage, which elevates it to aggravated street racing. The actual charge we are getting, which is aggravated street racing, holds a pretty small punishment for something that sounds so dramatic at just 3 years in prison for the maximum sentence. Times that by 111, which once again are how many races are in the game, and we got 333 years in total for every count of street racing. I know a few of y'all may not agree with that due to the fact that some races take place in the daytime or on tracks with no traffic like making bank in A+, but if it is not legalized by the government, in this case the state of Illinois, then technically it is street racing and you could be charged with that. There are two smaller charges that go along with street racing because it can never just be one charge, right? And those are exhibition of speed racing and exhibition of speed. For everyone who is not too familiar with these smaller charges, exhibition of speed refers to a driver engaging in actions like accelerating rapidly, burning rubber, aka burnouts, or other reckless driving behaviors that demonstrate excessive speed without engaging in an actual race. If these actions occur in a place like a school zone or a construction zone, then more charges would be added, but in this case, let's say it was just in the middle of nowhere. On the surface, it has a max time of 1 year in jail, so nothing too crazy. But for some reason, in the state of Illinois, the exhibition of speed racing is charged separate from street racing, even though they mean pretty much the exact same thing, which is referring to when 2 or more vehicles race on a public road in an unsafe and illegal manner. The max charge for this one is 3 years, just like street racing. However, it is not charged as aggravated, so at least there is one good thing about that. Totaling these two charges with speed racing would be 333 years for exhibition of speed racing for all the tracks in the game, and then a cool 100 years for exhibition of speed, such as doing burnouts and things like that. I don't have a proper way to track how many burnouts I have done, but it's at least 100. I'm gonna be honest here. 433 years plus 333 years for street racing. The last charge, and possibly the biggest, is vehicular assault, which occurs when someone operates a vehicle in a reckless or negligent manner, causing injury to another person. The severity of the punishment depends on factors such as whether the offender acted recklessly or under the influence, and the extent of injury to the victim. Now, thank God we do not appear to be under the influence at any point in time during races, but because it is so reckless and it does include damage and injury to other racers and police, depending on what type of race you are doing, then it would be elevated to aggravated vehicular assault, which has a nice hefty sentence of 7 years in prison for every single count. Assuming that there are 7 other racers with you in every single race that you do, and that you probably have hit all of them at some point in the race, you have 7 counts of aggravated vehicular assault, which would equal to 777 after adding every single race in the game. 777 counts with 7 years each would be 5,439 years in federal prison. But before we add everything up, I would like to shout out a few charges that I cannot prove the characters in Unbound do, but I'm pretty sure happen. We have money laundering, such as the money we get for winning races and doing events that somehow ends up in our clean bank accounts. Charges of numerous unpaid speeding and parking tickets, which speaks for itself. Then there is driving on a suspended license, driving with a revoked license, and the final one, driving with no license. Like I said, I cannot prove these happened, but I am very sure they did. But let's add up everything, shall we? 3,000 for vehicle theft, 364 for breaking and entering, 777 years for destruction of property, 333 years for street racing, 433 years for exhibition of speed and exhibition of speed racing, and our total is 4,907 years. Add this up with the previous charges from the last video, and we are at 12,242 years in federal prison, or 153 life sentences that would go one after the other. I want to thank you all for watching and going down this federal rabbit hole with me. I really enjoy doing this, and if there are other games you would like to see me do this with, let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed, make sure to go ahead and drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.